Fox News alert for you. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer is talking about sanctuary cities. The president has threatened to pull federal funding from cities that shield undocumented immigrants. In the meantime, the Texas Senate passing a bill to deny state funding to sanctuary cities and counties. Several other states are introducing similar measures, and one Ohio town is reversing its policy as a former sanctuary city. Other areas are moving toward becoming sanctuaries, such as California, with a bill that would make it a sanctuary state. Let's bring in our legal panel to discuss the implications of all this. Brian Claypool is with us, and we'll have Yodit Tewelde in just a moment. Brian, first of all, a sanctuary city, just because give us a legal definition of what it generally means.
Well, John, a sanctuary city, basically, in my opinion, is violating federal law. They're basically harboring undocumented illegal immigrants in the United States, and they're shielding them, basically, in my opinion, from any kind of legal implications and from deportation. So that creates a threshold issue and a problem, which is, what should President Trump do with cities like you just mentioned? I'm in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is considering this. I mean, what should we do when cities are basically snubbing federal law? And I think Trump is on the right track. And you can't continue to fund cities that are harboring undocumented illegal immigrants. But that raises another issue, John, which I'm sure you're going to talk about, is what do you do then with all these immigrants that are undocumented once you corral them in? Should we deport some? Should we not? And in my opinion, we need to focus on those undocumented immigrants who have committed crimes. They need to be adjudicated before an immigration court, and if so, then deported.
Yodit Tewelde is joining the conversation now, a defense attorney and former prosecutor as well. Yodit, I want you to listen to what Sean Spicer, the president's spokesman, had to say about this topic just yesterday. Listen.
The president's going to do everything he can within the scope of the executive order to make sure that cities who don't comply with it, counties and other institutions that remain sanctuary cities, don't get federal government funding in compliance with the executive order.
So there are a couple, Yodit, that have already reneged on their sanctuary city status. Miami-Dade County is one. Also, Dayton, Ohio just said, we are no longer going to be a sanctuary city. The big stick that the White House seems to be wielding appears effective here, Yodit.
Well, see, Donald Trump's administration is having to now strong arm these sanctuary cities because they don't have the law on their side. And it makes it very, very clear. There's a ruling, a federal ruling out of the Third Circuit that says that states and localities do not have to cooperate with detainers, and that is from immigration. The federal government can't make states and localities pay for a federal issue. Immigration is a federal issue. What I have an issue with is due process. There have been citizens, U.S. citizens, detained in jail who can't bond out because of a detainer, because there was a hunch that they may be undocumented. That is violating their constitutional rights. I have an issue with that. If the federal government wants to detain somebody based on their immigration status, what they need to do is get a warrant, have a hearing, a judge find probable cause to hold them, and then house them in a federal detention center. Not these local agencies, these local jails where the taxpayers are having to foot the bill. That's what I have an issue with.
But a lot of people, Brian, I think are wondering, how did we reach a stage where local law enforcement, and in some cases state law enforcement, refuses to cooperate with federal law enforcement?
Well, John, I think a big problem is during the President Obama administration, for example, to address Yodit's point, too. There are right now, John, at least 40 to 50 judicial openings in the immigration court system. In other words, President Obama did not appoint 40 to 50 immigration judges on the bench to adjudicate serious cases. For example, immigrants who have committed crimes. They're not even being taken care of. That the system is in shambles, the immigration system. So because none of these undocumented or illegal immigrants who have committed crimes are being adjudicated in the immigration system. They're just sitting there like a quagmire, and then that gives localities and cities an excuse because they haven't been subjected to an adjudication in the immigration process. So I think Trump, the first thing he's got to do, he's got to burden the hand right now. Put this executive travel ban order aside. He's got a lot of, I think, immigrants who have committed crimes who should be deported. Those who have not should not be deported. He's got to prioritize. But the first thing he's got to do is appoint some judges so that we can get these adjudications taken care of and these people sent back.
Yodi, would that perhaps help stem the kind of problem you were just talking about?
No, see, local agencies don't want to house these individuals based on just detainers because it opens them up to liability. When you are holding somebody based on a detainer, not probable cause, that they are undocumented, that opens them up to lawsuits. And that is where ICE can say, you know what, our hands are clean because our requests for detainers are just that, just requests. They're not mandatory. So Dallas County, we spend about $1 million a month housing people based on detainers, and ICE isn't even coming to get them. That is a taxpayer's bill. So there is a huge issue with this. I don't think that the solution is to cut funding, because what you're going to do then is punish the actual citizens who are going to benefit from these programs.
A lot of negotiations still to be done between the federal government and the local ones. Yodit Tewelde, Brian Claypool, thank you.